Hi guys, we're working with decimal fractions, and decimal fractions is just a different way of writing your fractions with your units or your whole numbers, in front of your comma and your fractions after your comma. Your fractions will always have a denominator that is a power of 10. Okay, so that will also help you. I like using this table to show you the different values of each number, and I also use different colors in this table. I use the red for your whole numbers, and I use the green for the fractions. Okay, you can also use the worksheet that I attached and to help you to go through this, and you can follow on your worksheet. Okay, the first thing that we did here was I filled them into the table for you already. So what you have to do now is you have to go and write them in expanded form. So the first one, I've got 10 plus 3. Then I've got 1/10, 2/100, and 3/1000. Okay, let's quickly look at the next one. There's no units, so I will have nothing. Then I've got 4/10. I've got 6/100. And I've got 7/1000. Okay, so the table helps you to show you the value, and then you can just write them in expanded form like that. Okay, let's quickly look at this one. I've got 1 as a unit. I've got no tens. You don't have to write it. You're welcome to write it if you want to. And then I've got 3/100. Okay, I'm not going to carry on with the rest of them. They will be on the memo that is attached. Okay, so that is how you write them in expanded form, and you can use the table to help you. Okay, the next thing you had to do was they gave it to you as a fraction, and you had to write it as a decimal. So the first one over here, what I always ask myself is, are they in units? If there's no units, I write 0, comma. Okay. Then I ask myself, are they in the tenths? In this case, there isn't. So I write a 0 in the tenths position. There's no hundreds. So I write a 0 in the hundreds position. And then there are 5/1000ths. Okay. So that is how I would write that first one. Okay, let's look at the next one. Again, I've got nothing in the whole numbers. So I can write 0, comma. And then I've got 5 in the tenths position. Okay, the next one will be the same, so I'm not going to do it. Then the next one, number E, that I want to get you. Now you can see that you've got an improper fraction. Okay, when you've got an improper fraction, what you're basically going to do is 704 divided by 100. But if you can't see that, or that makes it difficult for you, what you're going to do is you're going to write it as a mixed number. So you're going to write 7 and 4/100. Then when you write it, you ask yourself, are there any whole numbers? Yes, I've got 7 wholes, comma, I've got no tenths, but I've got 4/100. Okay. Number F is similar. I'm going to do that with you as well. 41 divided by 10, so I've got 4 and 1/10. In other words, I've got 4 whole numbers, and I've got 1/10. Okay, so that is just how you would write it in a decimal form. All of these have got powers of 10 as a denominator. We'll get to more complicated ones later. Okay, the next thing that you have to do is to understand the value. So what they did here was they underlined a certain number for you, and they want to ask you, they want to know from you what the value of that number is. The first one is a whole number, so it's 3 units, so my answer there is simply 3. Okay, if you look at the next one, they underlined the 2. So it's the 0, so the 2 is in the tens position. You are welcome to write it small above, like for yourself, to help you if you're not confident with it yet. Okay, so that 2's value is 2/10. They'll sometimes ask you to specifically write it as a common fraction. Otherwise, if they don't, you can also write it like that. Okay, then the next one, the 4 is also in the tenths position. So that will be 0,4. This 4 is in the thousands position, so it will be 4/1000. And if I write it, it will be 0,004. That 1 is in the hundredths position, so it's 1 over 100. And I can also write it as 0,01. Okay, so that is when you have to tell them the value of a specific number. The next thing that you're going to be expected to do is to compare them. Now, the important thing is, once again, to look at your place value and to compare them from left to right. So the first thing I do is I compare my whole numbers. Now, you've been comparing whole numbers all your life, so that's easy. 4 is bigger than 3. Both of them are the whole numbers. If you look before the comma, 4 is bigger, so your answer is going to be 4 over 2 is bigger. With the next one, my whole numbers are the same size. So now I look at the next number. So I look at the tenths. This one has 5 tenths. This one has got 8 tenths. So that one is bigger. Okay, this one, my whole numbers are the same. There's no whole numbers. Then I look at the tenths position. This one only has a 0 in the tenths position. This one has a 2 in the tenths position. So that one will be bigger. Now, sometimes I'm going to give you big numbers like this to see if they can confuse you. Don't let yourself get trapped with a big number like that. You're still just going to compare each place value from left to right. So both my units are the same, 4 and 4. Over here, I've got a 6 in the tenths position, and over here, I only have a 5 in the tenths position. So 4 over 6 is bigger. So even though that's a very long number and it looks big, the value is not bigger. I look out from left to right and I check each place. Thanks, guys. We'll carry on tomorrow.